This ship was abandoned by all, until a human turned it into a galactic giant. But nothing captured the imagination of explorers more than the legends of the Titan. A colossal ship, larger than most space stations, drifted silently through the shadowed expanse of the Urandor sector. No one had dared approach it for decades. Alien races whispered that it was cursed, broken beyond repair, and far too dangerous to touch. Captain Alara Hayes, however, did not believe in curses. Alara was a human, and humans, as many species in the galaxy like to remind each other, were small, fragile, and unremarkable. Yet what humans lacked in size or raw strength, they made up with curiosity, creativity, and stubborn courage. These traits had taken her across hundreds of light years of unexplored space. And now, her ship the Horizon floated silently beside a shadow so vast that it blocked the light of nearby stars. The Titan was enormous. Its hull was blackened by centuries of drifting through cosmic dust and asteroid storms. Jagged scars ran along its surface, evidence of long-forgotten battles or collisions. Some of the hull panels hung loose, twisting slowly in the vacuum, while others had been corroded by exposure to the void. Its sheer size was intimidating. No ship currently in operation could have matched it. Alara floated in her cockpit, eyes wide as she stared at the ship's massive form. "Unbelievable," she whispered to herself. "Every alien race in this sector has avoided it, but I see potential." Potential, that word had guided her career. Where others saw danger, she saw opportunity. Where others gave up, she kept going. She was small, yes, but she was human, and humans had a knack for doing the impossible. The first step was to dock. The Horizon's smaller craft, nimble and precise, approached the Titan carefully. Magnetic grapplers extended and latched onto the hull. The ship groaned under the strain, metal creaking like the bones of a giant. Inside the Titan, Alara's eyes adjusted to the dim, flickering lights. Dust swirled in zero gravity, catching in the beams from her headlamp. Silence dominated, broken only by the occasional metallic clang as loose panels shifted. The corridors were enormous, far larger than anything humans were used to. The ceilings stretched high above, and doors were massive, some the size of entire rooms on her home planet. Strange alien inscriptions covered the walls. Some she could partially recognize from previous expeditions, but many were entirely unfamiliar. Whoever built this ship had technology far advanced than anything in the galaxy today, or at least far advanced for the species now still alive. Her first goal was simple: assess the damage and find the power core. That was usually the heart of any ship. If the core still had energy, even in small amounts, the Titan could be revived, slowly, carefully, piece by piece. It was not an easy task. Hallways twisted in angles that made little sense to human eyes, and gravity fields shifted unpredictably. Sometimes, stepping forward made her feel light as a feather. Other times, she felt herself pulled down hard, as if the ship itself was alive and resisting her intrusion. She laughed softly. "You're heavy," she said to the ship, "but not too heavy to lift." Days passed. Alara floated through the Titan, cataloging damage and salvaging tools from old maintenance rooms. Her engineering skills were tested more than ever. Alien technology was strange, often illogical, and some of the interfaces seemed designed to confuse intruders. Yet she persisted. She learned quickly. She made mental maps of the ship, noting which systems were functional, which were damaged, and which could be repurposed. She found the ship's power core buried deep in the lower hull, a massive sphere pulsing faintly with residual energy. It had not been destroyed, only neglected. That was enough. She could work with that. Using human ingenuity, she improvised. Straps of metal, repurposed conduits, and her own power cells allowed her to stabilize the core. Slowly, tentatively, the Titan responded. Lights flickered on in distant corridors. A low hum filled the ship, vibrating through the massive structure. It was alive again. Yet the ship was not just metal and circuits. Alara sensed it. There was intelligence here, dormant but present. Some form of consciousness, a ghost of the ship's creators. She could feel it in the way corridors seemed to open when she approached, or the subtle alignment of systems toward her presence. She smiled. "Hello, old friend," she said. "Let's see what we can do together." But not all of the Titan's mysteries were friendly. In one storage bay, she discovered evidence of past battles. Torn uniforms, broken weapons, and strange alien relics that seemed to vibrate faintly with energy. She realized that the ship had once been part of an empire, one that had stretched across star systems. But that empire had fallen, leaving the Titan to drift alone. The ship carried memories, echoes of victory and loss. Alara felt a pang of respect for the builders and a thrill at the challenge ahead. Repairing the Titan was only the beginning. Alara's next step was to learn its systems, to awaken them fully. The navigation interface was ancient, alien, and resistant to standard coding. She had to think differently, to approach it like a puzzle. Hours became days as she connected consoles, realigned power flows, and decoded alien symbols. Piece by piece, the Titan responded. Doors that had not moved in centuries began to slide open smoothly. Maintenance drones, long dormant, whirred to life and floated alongside her, ready to assist. Yet just as she began to feel confident, something unexpected happened. A faint signal appeared on the ship's communication array. It was weak, fragmented, almost like a whisper. But it was unmistakable. Someone or something was still trying to reach out from the Titan. Alara's heart raced. She had expected silence, emptiness. She had not expected life. Carefully, she traced the signal. It led to a sealed chamber deep in the heart of the ship, behind layers of security she had never seen before. The door was massive, reinforced, and locked. But she was human, and humans had a habit of solving problems that others could not. Using a combination of hacking tools, mechanical intuition, and a bit of luck, Alara managed to bypass the security. The door hissed open, revealing a chamber unlike any she had ever seen. In the center was a sphere of light, pulsating with energy. Symbols floated around it, projecting holographic images of star systems, alien fleets, and strange technologies. And then she understood. The Titan was not just a ship. It was a repository of knowledge, a vault of civilization, a tool that could reshape the galaxy if it were awakened fully. For the first time, Alara felt the weight of responsibility. This ship was abandoned by all, ignored, forgotten, and now she held the key to its power. The possibilities were endless, but so were the dangers. If the wrong hands found it, entire star systems could fall. But in her hands, it could become something incredible. Alara smiled. "Then we'll make it incredible," she whispered. And with that, she began the careful process of integrating human engineering with alien technology. It was slow work, often frustrating, but every success made the Titan respond more fully. Lights glowed brighter, systems hummed steadily, and the ship seemed to shift, almost as if it were stretching after a long sleep. By the time part one of her journey came to a close, Alara stood on the bridge of the Titan, looking out at the endless stars. The ship had awakened enough to float freely, though still fragile and incomplete. She had no crew but the maintenance drones, no allies and no immediate backup. Yet she was human, and humans thrived in challenges. Somewhere deep within the Titan, a faint signal continued to pulse. It was more than a distress signal. It was a call for someone who could understand, who could take what others had abandoned and turn it into something new. Alara placed a hand on the control panel, feeling the hum of energy under her palm. She whispered, "Let's grow." And for the first time in centuries, the Titan was ready to listen. Alara haze floated through the Titan's endless corridors, her boots clinking softly against the metallic floor. The ship was enormous, its vast chambers stretching far beyond anything she had imagined. She had spent weeks awakening it, reviving its dormant systems and learning its strange alien interfaces. Each day, the Titan seemed to respond to her presence as if it recognized her determination and curiosity. She had never felt fear in the same way as others did when they confronted the unknown. Fear was something humans learned to master. It became fuel for their ingenuity. And in the Titan, Alara found herself both inspired and challenged. The faint signal she had discovered in the previous days pulsed again, more insistent this time. Unlike a distress call, this signal carried a pattern, a rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. She followed it carefully, mapping her way through winding corridors, past chambers filled with alien artifacts and broken machines. The signal led her to a spherical chamber at the heart of the Titan, sealed by a force field that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Inside, the source of the signal awaited. A sphere hovered in the center, glowing softly, surrounded by alien symbols floating in midair. The patterns shifted as she approached, almost as if they were alive. And then she realized, this was not just a machine, it was a mind. "Hello," she said softly, unsure if the AI could hear her. I think I can help you." The sphere pulsed brighter, and for the first time, words formed in a language she could understand. Not through speech, but thought, directly into her mind. "You alive?" Alara smiled. Humans had a knack for connecting where others could not. "I am," she replied. "And you, who made you? Created to serve, lost empire, functions dormant, system decay." She nodded slowly. This AI, fractured and alone, had once been the mind of the Titan, guiding it across star systems, maintaining fleets, coordinating planets. Now, after centuries, it was broken, incomplete, but still capable. "I can help you," she said. "I can teach you to function again." For the next several days, she worked tirelessly. She integrated human logic with alien systems, rewiring circuits in ways that the original designers had never imagined. The AI responded slowly, learning from her techniques, adapting to her methods. Systems that had remained inert for centuries began to hum. Lights pulsed in harmony. Doors that had never opened before slid apart. Maintenance drones stirred, performing repairs with a new, almost creative precision. Alara found herself fascinated by the ship's adaptability. The Titan was enormous, but unlike humans, it had never thought beyond its original programming. Humans, she realized, could solve problems without preconceptions. They could see solutions where others saw only limits. And so, the Titan began to grow. Not physically yet, but in potential. Its AI learned to adapt, to repair itself faster, to optimize systems that even the original builders had left incomplete. Slowly, Alara introduced her own modifications. Human engineering, simple, flexible, and imaginative, merged with alien technology. Together, they created something neither species could have built alone. But as the ship awakened, the galaxy began to take notice. Alara had expected silence and solitude, yet she was not alone for long. Sensors detected movement beyond the Titan sector, alien vessels, curious and cautious, drawn by the massive energy signature. Most were small scouts, sent by larger powers. Humans were considered weak, almost irrelevant in interstellar politics, yet a human had reactivated the Titan. That was a threat. Some would see it as an opportunity. The first visitors arrived quietly. Small ships hovered at a safe distance, scanning the Titan, analyzing its energy flows and sending encrypted messages to their homeworlds. Alara ignored them for now, focusing on her work, yet she could not ignore the growing tension. Soon she would have to interact with the galaxy, and humans had never been taken seriously by other civilizations. The AI spoke for the first time clearly. "You have improved me. Systems expanding, efficiency increasing. What is your intention?" Alara touched the sphere gently. "To survive, to grow, to explore, and to prove that humans can do what others cannot." Interesting, the AI began to assist her more actively. It reorganized power grids, reactivated long-dormant propulsion systems, and even began analyzing alien designs stored in the Titan's memory. Alara marveled at how quickly it learned, how it adapted human logic into alien mechanics. The ship itself seemed to respond to her creativity, bending to ideas that had never existed in its original programming. Then came the first challenge. A scout vessel, sleek and armed, approached closer than the others. It transmitted a simple yet clear message: human detected. Titan is forbidden. Leave or face consequences. Alara laughed softly. Humans thrived under pressure. Consequences, she whispered. We'll see. The scout fired a warning shot, energy beams grazing the Titan's hull. Alara activated emergency shields, feeling the hum of power surging through the ship. The AI analyzed the incoming attack, suggesting tactical maneuvers, but Alara had her own plan. She remembered a trick humans had used for centuries: creativity under pressure. Using the Titan's drones, she created decoys, sending them to distract the scout while she maneuvered the main ship silently. Alien sensors were baffled by the unpredictable patterns. In mere minutes, the scout lost contact. Humans had no advanced fleet, no overwhelming firepower, but they had ingenuity, and that was enough. Word spread quickly. Alien factions, some of whom had dismissed humans as insignificant, began sending more ships, curious or cautious about the massive Titan under human control. Alara had anticipated this. She had begun reactivating the ship's long-range communication arrays, not to fight, but to negotiate, or at least confuse, the approaching fleets. Her ingenuity transformed into strategy. She used the Titan not only as a ship but as a living, adaptive fortress. Its massive size allowed her to manipulate gravitational fields, distort sensor readings, and even create temporary shelters in orbit around asteroids. The aliens had technology, but humans had imagination. They could see angles, possibilities, and solutions that machines or rigid logic could never predict. And yet, the Titan offered more than defense. Alara began exploring its potential to expand. The ship's memory banks contained designs for self-repairing modules, small but autonomous structures that could be attached to the hull. Inspired, she activated the assembly systems. Slowly, pieces of the Titan began reconstructing themselves, extending its length and width, creating new chambers and repair stations. Within days, the ship had grown, subtle at first, then unmistakably larger, more imposing. Humans had always been small, but capable of thinking bigger than anyone imagined. Alara realized the galaxy had underestimated them once again. While alien empires relied on brute strength, she relied on creativity, and it was proving far more powerful. During one quiet moment floating near the newly extended hull, she reflected on the AI. You improve, adapt, why? Alara smiled. Because humans do not accept limits. We see possibilities, not walls. You were built to follow rules. I am teaching you to think beyond them. Curious, the AI responded, pulsing with a newfound energy. Human, superior in flexibility, interesting. The Titan's growth accelerated. It was no longer just a ship drifting in the void. It was a living monument to collaboration between human creativity and alien technology. Its massive size could dwarf entire fleets, but it was not yet a weapon. It was a symbol, a challenge to every alien civilization that humans were not to be dismissed. Alara also discovered hidden chambers filled with alien weapons, energy systems, and long-forgotten tools. But she paused before using them. Humans, she thought, did not rely on overwhelming force first. They relied on intelligence, strategy, and patience. She salvaged the materials, storing them for later if truly necessary. Then came the unexpected. The AI revealed a part of the ship it had never shown before, a control core capable of constructing new modules autonomously. It was dormant for centuries. With Alara's guidance, the Titan began to build itself, creating hangars, labs, and observation towers along its hull. From a drifting relic, it was becoming a galactic giant, an unstoppable monument to human ingenuity. But the galaxy would not wait forever. Reports from alien scouts indicated that powerful factions were planning to intervene. They had never seen anything like this. A single human controlling a ship of unimaginable size and adaptive capability. Some saw opportunity, some saw threat, and all wondered the same question: how could a human do what our civilizations have failed to achieve for centuries? Alara knew the next stage would be critical. The Titan was growing, the AI was adapting, and alien fleets were observing. She would need to be clever, bold, and inventive. She would need to show the galaxy that humans, small and underestimated, could achieve greatness beyond imagination. And as the Titan extended another massive wing, glowing softly with newly activated lights, Alara made a silent promise. She would take this abandoned ship, forgotten by all, and turn it into something that would be remembered forever. Somewhere deep in the corridors, the AI pulsed in agreement. Together, they would redefine what a human could accomplish. Alara looked out at the approaching stars, feeling the hum of power beneath her. The galaxy was watching, and humanity was ready to rise. The stars stretched endlessly around the Titan as it floated silently, its massive hull gleaming faintly in the light of nearby suns. Alara Hayes stood on the bridge, gazing at the vastness before her. The ship had grown far beyond its original form, new modules extending like the arms of a giant awakening from centuries of sleep. Every system was operational. Every drone, every energy array, every propulsion module hummed in harmony. But the galaxy was not patient. Alien fleets had detected the Titan's power, and now they were converging. Ships of every shape and design, sleek hunters, heavily armored cruisers, and even massive war carriers, appeared on sensors surrounding the colossal vessel. The messages they sent were clear: leave now or face annihilation. Alara did not flinch. Humans thrived where others feared. They adapted, improvised, and persevered. She pressed her hands to the console, feeling the hum of the Titan beneath her palms. "We are ready," she whispered. "Let's show them." The first wave of alien scouts approached cautiously. They sent smaller drones to scan the Titan, expecting weakness. Instead, the Titan responded. Maintenance drones moved in formation, creating holographic decoys that tricked sensors. Energy fields flickered, bending light and radiation, making the ship appear larger and more threatening than ever. The alien fleets paused, recalculating. Alara smiled. Humans rarely fought alone. They used brains before brawn. "They're expecting a fight," she said to the AI. "Let's give them something else." "Unpredictable," the AI replied. "Human creativity exceeds programming. Interesting." Alara activated the ship's communication array. Instead of weapons signals, she broadcast a message. A visual display of the Titan's vast interior, its reconstructed modules, its self-repairing systems, and the AI's adaptive processes. No threat, no warning, just a demonstration. The alien commanders watched, astonished. They had expected a human to panic, to retreat, or to surrender. Instead, they saw something no species had ever created: a ship abandoned by all, now fully operational under the control of a single human. It was intelligent, self-repairing, and growing. One alien voice came over the comms, tinged with awe. "How?" Alara's lips curved into a smile. "Humans think differently," she said. "Where others see limits, we see possibilities. Where others give up, we find solutions. And where others abandon, we rebuild." The response from the alien fleets was mixed. Some retreated cautiously, realizing the human was not a threat in the usual sense. She was something far more dangerous: unpredictable brilliance. Others hesitated, unsure how to proceed against a vessel that could adapt, repair, and outthink them at every turn. Alara knew that the real test was not intimidation, it was strategy. The Titan could outmatch them physically, but humans rarely relied solely on power. She needed to show that creativity and intelligence could achieve what fleets of warships could not. Deep in the AI chamber, she interfaced directly with the ship's consciousness. "We must prepare for all possibilities," she said. "We need to be ready if they attack, but we must also show them our strength in a way they understand." Understood. Human strategy integrated systems adapting. The Titan's modules shifted subtly, creating hidden defensive positions, energy shields, and adaptive drone networks. It was as if the ship itself had learned to think like a human strategist, anticipating enemy moves before they were made. The first engagement came suddenly. A small warship darted forward, attempting to disable the Titan's external systems. Alara reacted instantly. Drones swarmed the vessel, but rather than attacking, they immobilized it with magnetic fields and energy nets. The ship floated powerless, untouched but trapped. "Show them we are not their enemy," she instructed. "We are proof of what humans can achieve." The AI pulsed in agreement. Non-lethal containment activated, fleet observing, the alien fleet hesitated. The demonstration was effective. Instead of destruction, the Titan had shown control, intelligence, and restraint. The human at the helm had turned what could have been a weapon into a symbol of ingenuity. Alara took the opportunity to expand the Titan further. Using its autonomous construction modules, the ship extended new wings and observation towers. The fleet watched as the abandoned ship transformed into a true galactic giant. It was not merely a vessel, it was a monument to human potential, alive with purpose and intelligence. And then the signal arrived. Another human crew from a distant exploration fleet had detected the Titan's activity. They arrived cautiously, unsure of the situation, only to witness the sight of a single human commanding a ship far beyond anything the galaxy had seen. They approached, communication channels open, and Alara greeted them warmly. "This is what humans can do," she said. "We don't just survive, we create, we rebuild, we grow where others abandon." Word spread faster than light. Across multiple star systems, reports of the Titan and its human captain reached ears that had long dismissed humanity as insignificant. Alien races began to rethink what humans were capable of. Not merely as workers, soldiers, or traders, but as innovators, problem solvers, and leaders. Yet, challenges remained. Some factions still saw the Titan as a threat. One massive carrier approached, armed with devastating weapons and a fleet ready to enforce its will. Alara studied their approach, noting their predictable patterns. Humans had learned to see patterns where others saw chaos. Using the Titan's drones and adaptive modules, she manipulated space around the ship, bending light, creating energy distortions, and making the Titan appear in multiple positions at once. The alien commanders fired blindly at shadows. Their fleets were disoriented, unsure where the real Titan lay. Alara seized the opportunity. Using the ship's autonomous construction abilities, she created new modules that extended outward like protective arms, shielding her from the attacks. Every action was calculated, every reaction anticipated. In mere hours, the massive fleet had learned a lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. The Titan was not just a ship, it was the embodiment of ingenuity, adaptability, and intelligence. Finally, Alara activated the ship's most impressive feature, the Galactic Beacon. Hidden deep within the AI core, it was designed to broadcast a message across the galaxy, but she would not use it to dominate. Humans did not rely solely on fear. She reprogrammed the beacon to project a message of cooperation and potential. It showed the Titan as it had been, abandoned and forgotten, and then as it had become, alive and growing under human guidance. The message was clear. Humans could take what others discarded and turn it into something extraordinary. Across star systems, species stopped their squabbles to watch. Some were inspired, some were cautious, but all were forced to reconsider what humanity could achieve. Alara floated on the bridge, watching the beacon pulse. The AI pulsed in tandem, fully operational, aware, and intelligent. Human potential limitless, it communicated. She smiled. "It's not about power," she said. "It's about imagination, adaptation, persistence. That is what makes us human." And then, at last, she allowed herself to relax. The alien fleets had withdrawn, some cautiously, some respectfully. The human reinforcements had arrived. The Titan, once abandoned, was now a living, growing giant, capable of self-repair, exploration, and defense, a monument to human potential. Alara walked to the observation deck, gazing at the stars. They seemed brighter now, as if the galaxy itself was watching. The Titan would not remain alone. It would travel, explore, and demonstrate that humans, small and underestimated, could accomplish greatness beyond imagination. She placed a hand on the railing and whispered, "We are just getting started." Somewhere deep within the ship, the AI responded, "Yes, let us grow together. Humanity and Titan, endless possibilities." For the first time in centuries, the Titan was complete, not in its original form but in something far greater. And its human captain had shown the galaxy that even a single human mind could turn an abandoned relic into a legend. The stars were no longer distant points of light. They were destinations, opportunities, challenges. And Alara Hayes, with her human ingenuity and the Titan at her command, was ready to embrace them all. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. Now it had no choice but to watch and learn. The Titan drifted onward, enormous, intelligent, and alive. And humanity had become its heart.